one time,
One intercourse. It's
one
a,
intercourse, pregnant at 41. So I told Dave I want to take Daniel to both fertility doctors and said, here's my son, natural conception via Gabriela Rosa.
Before we
Yes.
get into, giving too much of a spoiler alert,
Mhm.
I will let you guys share whatever you feel like the story, wherever the story began for you.
um, so I believe it was probably around 7 years ago. About 7 years ago, my wife, we went to one of my cousin's engagement parties, and my wife had just we had just done an IUI. Was it an IUI?
Yeah.
An IUI, and it didn't. We had some viable options, and it didn't work out. And then after that, I remember Shelly being very depressed, and
My 40th birthday, the IVF turned into an IUI because there were no eggs. Basically, the cycle they did was so toxic to my body that the eggs, it wasn't viable. So they're like, let's try an IUI. So I remember my 40th birthday, we did the IUI, which is IVF turned IUI, and I knew it didn't work because you have that feeling, and I was so depressed and I was crying, and I think that was the very first time I've ever cried, and the only time I've cried during the whole journey. And that night I said, you know what? Tears is not going to do anything for me. I've got to figure something out. And that same night, I was scrolling on Facebook and typing up fertility treatment and natural fertility, all kinds of stuff. And then guess who popped up? Gabriela Rosa did. And I joined the fertility challenge the same time. And I just started working. I started throwing pots out. I
so
started like,
so this Shelly decided to start doing this process,
Very
and
like, what
because
are you doing?
yes, this is. But here's the thing. I realized that Shelly needed something, and even if it wasn't going to automatically fix what we were going through, she needed something to focus on. And I kind of like glazed over what she was doing, and I kind of like gleaned some of the information. And I said, you know what? It's not totally bad. We do have like toxic stuff in our house and so on. And I said, if this is gonna one, make her happy, and two, keep her mind out off of being depressed and give her purpose and so on. Said, you know what? Let's do it together. And I was a skeptic, and I said, you know what? I don't really know if this is working, but I don't know if it was because we have more we had a common goal and we were working together. There were slight changes. There were slight improvements. We slept a little better. That's one of the things I noticed. I had more restful sleep. My energy level was a little bit better, and this was before we really got into the
yeah,
program.
this was just a
this
challenge.
this was just kind of like changing a little things in our diet.
Yeah.
But I think doing the fertility challenge made it easy to join the program because we had already done 50-60% of the work. Like we got rid of all toxic, chemicals. We did a lot of, started changing our diet. And the phenomenal part of it was that I bought all your books. I read everything. I started reading. I was like in the room just reading, reading. And then I'm like, hey, there's something wrong with me. My cycle is short. I'm like, whoa. So that was like a eye opener. I said, okay, so then that's a big issue. So then we had the Zoom chat, and I think right after that we joined the program.
Yes.
And then we were ready to work. And I would say like a month or two into the program, we lost a lot of weight and we started feeling better, sleeping better, looking better. I started getting compliments from
Our
everyone.
skin really
Skin
improved. Really,
radiated, and like there was no time to sit and be depressed. It was just getting doctor's appointment, like getting here, getting there, doing this, let's get stuff done, and you have some amazing practitioner that really really like helped us through the journey. It was like more like talking to like family, and really kept us on track. And even when we fell off track, the practitioners were there to guide us, to get us right back on track, because you had support for physical, emotional support. And I think that went a long way, and it helped us change our mindset that, look, even if we don't have a baby, we're going to be the healthiest version of
oh,
ourselves. And the program actually saved Dave from a massive heart attack because it runs in the family, and his homocysteine was so high. And by joining the program, he was able to balance his homocysteine and prevented that heart attack, because we know so many people around his age in their 40s that have gotten like a heart attack. My brother being one of them, he had two heart attacks. So it really, really, I would say, saved his life more so.
And
Wow,
it
it's mm, go ahead,
go ahead.
Dave.
And it's just like Shelly said, it's when you do the program, I of course you want to have a baby, and we that's why we're doing it, but it also gives you a better version of yourself, and this is the version of ourselves that we should be, and we maybe should strive to be more often, and it also gives you a better existence. We're when we were really on the program, we had no aches and pains. Our fatigue level was much
I think I'm
different.
gonna get you guys back on the program just to be healthy, you know?
Yeah,
Yes.
we've actually discussed that.
Yes.
We actually do want to try for one more child, and if we are blessed enough. But I also said to Shelly that if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. We've already, but we have a 5 year old that's a dynamo, and he requires so much mental fortitude, physical strength, and just attention to detail that you would not realize. And sure,
Here's one we prepared earlier.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yeah, fine, you get a child, but I don't know if this is the case with all of your children. I'm assuming that it is for most of your if you go through the program, the child you produce is not a normal child. There, it's he's amazing, but he is a little challenging. I'll give you. He knows every flag in the world. He learned his multiplication tables by himself. He reads at 3 or 4 levels above his age. He does math at 3 or 4 levels above his age. He
He's gifted.
he just runs through everything. He learns at such a
Amazing.
pace. He questions everything. I have to define words for him on a daily basis, and not.
And
I,
another thing also, I think from eating really well and not having any toxins or any processed food, at the hospital when I gave birth, he had to be like in a little a photo booth because of our blood types. So they tried like 8 or 9 different formulas. I even brought 2 organic imported from Germany. He refused everything. He only wanted breast milk. So he was breastfed for 19 months,
and
only
yeah.
breast milk.
and yesterday
And
was
that's
his
it.
fifth birthday. The only liquid he has ever had in his mouth
It's water.
and breast milk.
That's it.
So he's
I'm
still
so
on the
proud.
program. We're
You
not.
see, these are
We-
my patients, you know, that I am always so proud of. You guys are amazing. Now, here's the thing. I think you guys have skipped quite a few little bits of details that I need to kind of
Yes.
fill in
okay.
the gaps on,
Yes.
because, you know, it's so interesting. In your
Oh, we forget
case,
the whole like stuff with the mic your when I had to send the blood
Yes.
with.
Yes. So when
we
we went
will,
for
we
the
will.
second,
Now, before we
yes.
do, because you see, this is the thing. Before the program, I think we need to fill in some gaps that, you
Okay, go
know,
ahead.
are
Yes.
here. And, you know, obviously, whenever we're dealing with situations that aren't straightforward, you guys had 6 years of infertility before coming to us.
Mhm.
So there was quite a lot of, you know, kind of time trying to get pregnant. There were
Well,
six
we
IUIs in the
Yes.
process. So,
and
and two failed IVF cycles,
mhm.
right? So those, like it, that is not for the faint of heart, you know. So
No.
it's not to
No.
say that, you know, you guys obviously were doing everything that you were being told. There was, you know, everything that you were like, you've got to go and do IUI, go do IVF, go do these
Mhm.
things, and obviously
So
for years. So
so
that's
oh
So I remember when I went for the second IVF cycle, the doctor looked at me and he said, if someone took a gun and put it to my head and said, "Oh, will I have a baby?" He would say, he says, even through IVF, he would say no because you're too old and you need donor egg. That was, and the fertility world, it's lonely, and They're very abrasive, and they're very like the things they
No,
say
there's
to
only
you.
one solution. There's only one solution. The only solution they ever give you is more drugs, more procedures, and more money for them. That's the
And
only solution.
and the funny thing is, he was surprised because I was on the program when I went for the second IVF. He was surprised that I had 10 eggs and 7 fertilized. So that was also like something that triggered for us that there's something wrong with my uterus, because we had beautiful blastocytes. I still have pictures of them. And when those didn't work, I said, now we have to investigate the uterus, which in the US they refused to do. So I spoke to the practitioners and they're like, all right, let's try overseas. We found a clinic, we tested, they tested my menstrual cycle, they saw I had the infection, they treated it, and right after that, one time, not even charting or anything. One time,
One intercourse. It's
one intercourse, pregnant at 41. That's it.
And so here's the thing, and that's also very interesting, because you see, this is another part that makes a huge difference in this kind of situation that often is not really looked at and kind of like glossed over.
Mhm.
The doctor said you need donor egg, right? But what he neglected to say was that we had a sperm count of 2 million
Yeah.
at the same time that was going on, right? So it's kind
Exactly.
of like, hang on a second, 2 million isn't enough sperm to fertilize an egg naturally by natural
Mhm.
conception. So
Right.
that automatically requires IVF, ICSI, whatever it
Right.
is. But in the program, because you guys were doing the program, you went from, Dave, your sperm count went from 2 million to
Mhm.
36.4 million
Mhm.
in
Which is a
doing
big.
the things that you were doing.
Yeah.
And that is what enabled you, in combination with, of course,
Mhm.
clearing the infection that was there.
Mhm.
And obviously,
Mhm.
those are all things that, and this is part of the whole process, isn't it? And that's
Yeah.
so interesting, because what happens is, it's like, we're not going to leave anything to chance and no stone
Right.
unturned. We're
Mhm.
going to be like, okay, we can't do it in the US. Let's figure out where else we can
Yes.
do the things
Exactly.
that we need to do,
and
you
and
know?
especially here where we're in New York City, so we have access to the top rated fertility doctors within
I went to two
within wi-
top doctors
within
in the
within
country.
within within a 10 to 15-mile radius in the United States. We have so many fertility doctors, and they're all really, really highly regarded in that space.
So I told Dave I want to take Daniel to both fertility doctors and said, here is my son, natural conception via Gabriela Rosa. So when I went to my OB after I got pregnant, she's like, "Oh, was this an oops baby?" And I'm like, "How could this be an oops
I've
baby?"
been trying for
I've
7
been
years.
I'm like, how? And I said, no. I said, I natural fertility. I said, a doctor in Australia took care of me, and you can see like how hesitant she was. But at the end of after I gave birth, with my age, with my blood pressure, with everything, gestation time, with everything, she said, you were one of my oldest patient, but yet one of my healthiest patient. And she actually like commended me, and I said, yeah, I said, this is what natural medicine does to you. And another thing, I guess I was the talk of the whole place because I didn't take any pain meds. I breastfed Daniel. They're like coming. I said, if I didn't take pain meds to give birth, why would I take it now? I said, I don't want any, there was no American drugs in my system. Throughout my entire pregnancy, I didn't take anything, just the nutrients. And even the nutrients supported my hypertension because they had to lower my blood pressure medicine instead of increasing it. Usually it's the reverse. And it also, the program also encouraged me to like walk a lot. And like the day when I was going in to get induced, I walked like almost 6 miles, ran up and down the stairs, and walked an entire boardwalk. So I feel like if you're gonna, like, people put all this effort and emphasis when they go for IVF and they do all the work and they get up and they stick them stuff and they do everything. Put that same emphasis and effort into natural fertility and what you guys offer, and you're gonna see results. So that's really what it is. It's like change your focus and your mentality and just focus on what needs to get done and not like what you don't have, and just work towards it. And that's it. And then, you know, stress has a lot to do with it too. So I feel like the physical activity really, really helps out too.
And it's
Mm.
when we're doing this, it's also a partnership. It's
Yes.
not just, okay, we need to get you well so you can carry a baby. No, you need to get me well so I can produce the best version of myself to incorporate with you. And that's something that it was our little moment, and we were on an island together, because when we went anywhere, we ate the same. We were the only people who were eating the same. When we went out on a social event, we were the only people who weren't drinking.
Yeah.
When we went like it got to the point when we would go out to dinner, our really good friends would know, okay, we can't go here because there'd be nothing for you to eat.
Yeah.
And we were very diligent. Like, if we went over to their homes, they would kind of know what we would eat and what we couldn't eat, and it got to that point where we were that diligent, and there were
And we
certain
didn't
places we could.
compromise. We didn't compromise. We just, you know, did it with
What did
integrity.
made side like? Well, do you think that the decision to really focus and prioritize on optimizing your health, do you think that came out of the years of things that hadn't worked, or do you think there was another reason? What made you like switch to, right, I'm going to do what it takes?
I think it's also because I think it's
It's
because
so important.
it didn't work, and then one, it's because it didn't work. Whatever we were doing wouldn't work, and the second thing is we saw marginal improvements as we went through the program, and it was kind of like a runner's high, or like the endorphins you get like from working out. You kind of feel it, and you're like, oh, this works. This really, really works. So I'm gonna do it even more. I'm gonna get a little bit more. I'm gonna feel a little bit better. I I was 41. I was in the best shape of my life since I was in my 20s.
And also, especially after the hair sample was done and we realized that we're even sensitive to all these things, it like right now we there's no like chemicals in our home. It's like people call me like they're like, oh, you like a hippie because you make your own stuff. You do, like my products that I use are more on the expensive side, like my hair shampoo I still use, and the same thing, even Danny, we shower him with filtered water still. So we've maintained most of it. The only thing that we've kind of like neglected a little bit is the physical activity because we're so busy and we've had so many unfortunate things that happen to us, and sometimes I'm surprised that we're still standing. And we had rejoined the program for a second baby, and but prior to that, my nephew was congenital heart defect, and I think it scared me a little bit. And then also my sister had a second pregnancy and she almost died in childbirth, and she's 7 years younger, so I think it kind of scared all of us a little bit. But like Dave and I said, I think we took a pause because of some unfortunate events. Dave's dad had cancer, so but we're gonna I think reactivate the program back in August, and we're gonna you know get back healthy. And if a baby happens, it
Look,
happens. If a baby doesn't happen, we're okay with it
I
too.
really miss your nutrients cocktail, because it works better than anything
Wow, Dave,
else.
Dave. The thing about, going from skeptical, I don't know about this thing, to, oh, maybe this thing
No, no,
works,
no, no,
to,
no, no. No,
yes,
I miss your nutrient cocktail.
He yells at me. He's like, "You have to do our nutrients. You have to do our nutrients."
No, I miss the nutrient cocktail. It's better than anything else out there. because it's this, right? If you were to go somewhere, like just let's if you were to go and get all these tests done and analyze your DNA and figure out what works for you so let's whatever you're doing, it will promote my male health, right? So promoting my male health will give me the most energy, give me the most vitality, make me the most lucid, give me best sleep, all of that stuff. If I were to go out and try to find someone to do that for me, it would cost a lot more than your program. I would say that.
and everyone
it's
and
true. It's true.
everyone at work also, they're like, Shelly, you're older, you're so energetic, what do you use? I said, I can't tell you, it's a secret. If I tell you, then you know what's going to happen. They see me with the bottles of all the pills and they're like, what are you drinking? I said, all nutrients from Australia, because I actually, right before joining the program, I had bought some of the nutrients from Amazon, and it changed our numbers slightly, barely changed it. So I know that the nutrients in the US, it's no good. So I like, prefer to get all the nutrients from Australia. And I told Dave, and Dave said, look, even if after we are out of the program and we want to get the nutrients, if we have to just join to talk to the practitioner and just for our health, just to get the nutrients, we're gonna do it because you can't put a price on
You
your
are
health.
always welcome. But the thing is, one thing that we don't do, it's so funny because as you guys know, and you've been through the fertility challenge and you've been around me for a long time, it would be so easy for me to, if I wanted to make money, to just put a nutrient, whatever, supplementation, kind of product together and sell it and whatever. But that's not my objective. My
But
objective
it's
is really to help people to understand, right, what is it that needs to happen for
Yeah.
long-term health, long-term quality of life. And
Yeah.
we don't do general health, but you're absolutely right, Dave. Like if we did, we would smash it, you know?
Yeah.
well,
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's not general health. It's tailored to you, and it's
Yeah,
tailored to your wellness. Because what's going to work for the guy for Joe and Bob is not going to work for Dave, because
exactly.
I have a different makeup,
Yeah.
and you've identified from my levels what works. And just that, because there is in New York, there's this place called, it's Princeton Longevity Center. So it's like they do executive health insurance. So you would go in there, they would take all your tests and do all this stuff. I think it's like 20 grand, and they would look at your
We're
wellness and,
we're too cheap.
yes.
We're clearly too cheap.
They don't you but all they do is they see if they scan you and see if there's stuff wrong with you, but they never offer a real solution. What they offer is a snapshot of if you're good or if you're not good. And if you can, all they would usually say is just do a little bit more exercise and watch what you eat and so on. They don't give you anything to make, like, the only people who do wellness in some aspects like that are like the male health clinics, where the only thing they offer is testosterone replacement. That's the only thing they really offer.
Yeah.
No, look, I think that what you're right. What we do is very personalized precision medicine, really. But
Yeah.
we do focus on ensuring that you are at your best level of health, because we know that a healthy body is a fertile body. At the end of the day, it's about understanding the obstacles. Imagine after going through 6 years of infertility and multiple failed treatments, what would you prefer? To really take a step back and look through everything in the most minute detail so that you can understand the problem, and then actually put together an intervention that will address the actual right issue. Because everybody missed the fact that, okay, this wasn't a donor egg need to begin with. We had sperm parameter issues, we had like silent infections, we had things that essentially were getting in the way that aren't the most obvious to most fertility specialists, because they're
It's
not
it's
looking for those things. They're not looking for the obstacles that need to be overcome. They're looking for, do we have clear fallopian tubes? Do we have ovaries? Do we have a uterus? Do we have some sperm? If we have those things, we can bypass everything else through IVF. Well, what good did that do?
not. And I one of the other things that I feel happens is there is not it's always okay, let's just figure out a way for we to fix whatever's going on with Shelly. They don't really attach and really look at me as well, because if they did, they'd say, okay, my numbers aren't high enough, we've got to fix you as well. Because how is that going to work? If there's a donor egg and there's not enough sperm, how is it going to work?
It's so fascinating that you say this, Dave, because you see what happens typically is this. If you have some sperm, I mean, you had 2 million. What we know in terms of the data and the research is that in order to have a natural conception, you have to have at least 20 million. So your levels were 10 times lower than what they should have been, right? Now, what happens, even so that is the case, the doctor will look at that report and go, in his mind, oh, it's okay, we can do IVF for this. And then when IVF hasn't worked, when IUI hasn't worked once, twice, 3 times, 6 times, and then you're onto your second IVF attempt and it still hasn't worked, they're still going, it's not a sperm problem, it's an egg quality problem.
Yep.
Now, in your case,
Mhm.
it wasn't an egg quality problem at all. It was a fertilization implantation failure issue because of an infection. So much so that when we resolved that, well, guess what? Here we have a natural conception after 6 years of nothing working.
Mhm. At
So
41. At
at
41.
41, exactly. And that's the thing, that the thing that frustrates me for my patients really
Mhm.
is this narrative that, one, it's a woman's problem.
Yes.
We don't have to worry about the sperm. It's okay. If we have some, it's enough, right? And how many people I get that come to me with sperm parameters that are at that level or even lower. And we have seen so many times over the years where it is possible to improve. But do you think that there are doctors out there that are really looking at how? Unfortunately, IVF is a
we've never
multi-billion
been.
dollar industry,
I don't know if there's anyone who ever said, okay, we need to improve your sperm. Also, I don't know. I think it's a male ego thing. Maybe I don't know what it is. I think it's also a male ego thing, and maybe they've learned that to tread lightly on it, just to not to lose a customer.
Or maybe
And that's
because the doctor, exactly, maybe because the doctor also is a man.
yes, well,
And
or
actually, like,
it's also
oh, I don't think that I would want somebody to be telling me that my sperm is no good.
that I'm not virile enough or I'm not manly enough. And that's, if you get to that point where you can accept, okay, this is what it is. It happened. I mean, it's what it this sometimes you just have to look at the mirror and say, this is the truth. Let's work with it. Let's move on. But
Accept it and work on it.
if you, I think it's also it's, I don't know if it's just common practice for them never to try to fix the male part of it, or it's not good for business. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, there's, like, when I was in sales, there's certain things you've learned not to ever say and not to ever do, because you could lose a customer. And at the end of the day, I think that's what the fertility industry is. You're not a person, you're a customer, and they're just trying to make money. And if you get, and if, because in the US, the majority of the major, unlike us, the majority of the people who do IVF, they don't pay for it out of pocket. So it's not something that you're directly seeing. And the only consequence of this is potentially the woman's health, as far as for being doped up with all these chemicals and all these hormones and so on. That's the only thing that gets hurt. They get paid. Maybe you get a baby, maybe you don't.
So for me, like, one of the biggest thing is that I'm a pharmacist, so I know what these drugs do to your body. So for me, one of the biggest thing when I was speaking to practitioner was to detox me from all this stuff, because I know, like, it definitely affected my mood, and I think that's why, like, I cried, and like it, because I'm not a crier. I'm a Pisces. I'm a tough woman. I'm not a crier. I don't cry for things that easily. So I know that the hormones was like affecting me in a negative way. I was very snappy, very angry, like, and I didn't want to feel that way. So for me, like, when I started feeling like myself again after taking the nutrients and detoxing, I was like in a much better, like, headspace. So for me, like, detoxing from all these chemicals was like very, very important, and vaccines and stuff.
What
So
was your biggest, like, what was something that you didn't expect that you would gain through the program that you realized, other than Daniel, of course? I mean, that's the obvious prize. But
Well,
other than that, what is something that you guys felt like, wow,
the
that's
best help that we
best
were,
health I've ever had.
the best cognizant help in our adult life.
Yeah. And
I was the best version of myself.
And me too. And I was so energetic. Like, like in pregnancy, people are always tired and sleeping. I was so energetic. Like, if you didn't see my belly, you wouldn't know I was pregnant. I was so fit. Like, I would spring off the bed and then remember, oh, I have a belly.
Oh,
And
say what did Daniel say to you recently?
oh, he said, oh, I got my hair blow dried. He said, oh, mommy, you look like the way you were before you had me.
You
Like,
look,
I look pretty.
no, you look so pretty.
So,
And well, so it's one of the things. So of course I did discuss before. as far as better shape, better sleep, more productive. The things like I don't know how we did all of the things we did then, and because you were more engaged. You had better mental clarity. Also, because you're not fatigued as much,
Yeah.
you were able to do more things in a day. And I don't know if it I can quantify it or actually say what it is, but it's just you were just a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. And what was something that was really hard that you didn't expect?
Our first test results. Our test result was worse than before we got onto the program. And we were like, how is this possible? How is this possible?
No, and,
It doesn't make sense. And he's like, I take all this stuff. How can my numbers be worse?
but and the other thing was there was no correl for me. There was no correlation between. Okay, I feel better. I should be better. And that's but and then
Then once the practitioners explained it to us, I said, okay, it makes sense. It's like in pharmacy world, it's like it's
flush.
dumping and flushing,
Okay,
cycling out all the, and I had to explain that to Dave.
so one of the things that didn't work.
I can see you guys all as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things. Oh, okay, there we go. One of the things that was really hard was that diet. One of the we our social life suffered. That's what our social life because
Yeah.
it's this. We're from a Caribbean West Indian culture, and the food doesn't really vibe. They don't like some things work, some things don't. And then the other thing is
I love coffee. For me, it was coffee, but
and there is so much alcohol at everything in our culture. Everything. A baby shower has tons of alcohol. Everything. A 3-year-old birthday party,
Hopefully
tons of
not for the
alcohol.
mother though.
Yeah. And it's just like that it was just like adjusting our norms, finding that sparkling water works really well as an alternative
and
because you get a mouthfeel even though you're not really drinking. So you like when you're talking, you kind of have to do something, like when you're
Yeah,
having these
yeah.
social interact, you have to do something. So sparkling water works really well.
and for me, I was able to find all the teas, all the like the Rubio's teas and like the Tocino and all the and what I found that I loved a lot was the turmeric lattes that we
Oh,
put in place.
yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
once I figured that out, I was fine. I was like, I was okay.
And then a lot
Isn't
of
it amazing how we get used to things? And even when we think that, oh my God, it's going to be so hard and it's this, it's that, it's whatever. But really it's actually just a matter of just a quick adaptation. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, things are kind of like a better version of what it was before anyway.
also I realized through this that I have a gluten intolerance.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Look at that.
And I've always had like a dairy intolerance.
But
So
yeah, but he didn't know he had a gluten, so he avoids
So there were
gluten.
many
and then
things about yourself that you discovered, Dave, through this process that benefited your life. I mean, obviously the cardiovascular risk factors are
Mhm.
so important to understand, and this is one of the things that I often talk about fertility that people don't quite understand, is that whenever you have a situation that conception hasn't been straightforward, that is almost a warning sign of other aspects of your health and your long-term quality of life that you have the opportunity to address now.
Mhm.
That in learning, understanding, and discovering, you're actually going to benefit your quality of life in the future. And so many people miss that wonderful opportunity by bypassing it to go and do IVF because they think I'm running out of time. And they never really come back to, doing the work that's going to save their life later down the track. So I'm so glad for you guys that was something wonderfully
I guess the body
beneficial.
works in like a triage type situation. It'll only do what it has to do.
Yeah.
And if I'm not healthy, it's not going to produce what I need to make a baby. It's just going to produce what it is. It's just going to try to keep me alive.
And I remember also when I went to do the HSG, where they checked the uterus, they said it's inverted. You can never carry a child. That was the first news that they told me. Remember that I had like a meltdown
When they said you wouldn't be able to
to
because you have
carry a child.
a lower uterus,
Yeah, and it's a heart-shaped uterus. And then another thing, through the whole journey, I didn't even know that I had endometriosis and that the left side of my ovaries are covered. Like, so I was really only like going on one side. So you find all these things, and it made sense why I had all these terrible cramps. And then like also severe pain during intercourse that's not like because it's not treated, and you find out all these different things, and you're like, oh, it makes sense now. So it's they don't do
And
a
it's
great job
unexplained, Shelly.
identifying.
It's unexplained,
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
you need donor egg.
yeah.
Okay. So I also about a week before we got married, Shelly complained that her legs were swollen, and I said, you know what?
Birth control.
Because of the birth control, and I said, you know what? We're getting married. If we have a child, we have a child. We're getting married, and that was what? That was
I think 2010.
2010. And so from 2010 to roughly what, 2018,
Yeah,
you weren't on birth control. We were passively trying and nothing
yeah.
happened. And
Yeah.
That's when we decided to see a fertility doctor.
yes. So we had all of these issues from then
From then.
and we didn't know. And we it was just, oh, my legs swollen. And I was like, well, we had done some research that you had been on birth control for too long. And I said, you know what, maybe it's not going to happen for a couple of years because you've been on it for so long. And when it happens, it happens. We're married, we're together, we're a stable home, and it can happen anytime. We were passively trying it. Like, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, yeah. And isn't that interesting? Because obviously that turned into, okay, 7 years of it not happening. And then we have another active trying period of, 6 years and it's not happening. And it's so interesting because what often I see in a situation like this is exactly what you just described, is this kind of like almost neglect about really getting to understanding when you've been passively trying. If you've had I was having this conversation with people in the fertility challenge today, where if you've had sex in a 3-year period 10 times, and maybe 3 or 5 of those times was around mid-cycle, and you were not using contraception, it's very likely that the egg and the sperm have met at some point. Because we know in the general population, it takes 3 attempts, really. That's why we hear so many situations of like, oh, surprise baby, like your doctor had asked you. And the reason that it happens is because most people conceive without trying. And it's this whole situation of like, 3 conception attempts are always needed to actually end up delivering a healthy baby for 90+% of the population. But when it isn't straightforward, when it is like this, you can't hear everything is normal, just keep trying and believe it, if you are going to overcome that.
I think those numbers actually just are so scary to me, what you just said, because it makes me think back. Like, there was a point where I think you were about 35 or so. We had the discussion that we need to start ramping this up because you're at that plateau, they say, where everyone has, so that everything falls off after 35. And maybe we should have been more cognizant of that and just paid more attention, but we didn't know we didn't know the numbers you just told us. And I think we should really like get it. Everyone should know that, and that.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
So I think one big thing that came out of like my journey and my struggle is that I was very open about it at my job, and quite a few people got help, and I've referred quite a few people to your program and the fertility challenge. And I feel like if I didn't go through the process, because I feel like God always chooses people that can carry out certain things. And like you said, like what we went through is not for, a weak-hearted person. So, um, and like my coworkers, especially the male, they always talk about me to like other females, and they always said, "Oh, I have this coworker. She's never sad. She always smiles, and she's been trying to have a child, and she ended up having a child because I would go to work and tell them." Don't worry, one day I'm gonna be a mom. Don't worry, it's gonna happen. And I always had a smile because um, I felt like there were like some of my colleagues who struggled in for like fertility, but they never said anything about it. They've never alerted. I feel like it's such like a taboo topic. But I went there and on top of my lungs, I announced it to everybody, and I told them this is going to be a journey. We're going to be in this journey together. So they always have a running joke that
Whether
Daniel
you
is
like it or
called.
not.
Yes, and they call Danielle the Choney baby. It's Children's Hospital of baby, and I said yes because I'm in pediatrics. So they all say that the baby belongs to them too because they've literally been through the journey with me. Like when taking the herbal medicine and I'm making my face up and like they're trying to give me orange juice and like I'm breaking up my pills and I have to go take a break to eat something. They've literally went through the journey, and I think it's really helped a lot of them. And a few of them conceived, and so I feel like if I wasn't open enough and like talk about my journey, a lot of them would not have gotten tested
That's
and would not have known that they had issues.
that's one of the reasons we relish the opportunity to have this discussion with you, because if someone sees this, I hope that someone sees this and gets inspired, goes on your program, and has a beautiful baby, because there's such a stigma with the
Yeah,
with the infertility, and especially in our
in our
culture.
culture.
It's
Yeah.
which is funny because they all want us to have babies, but they don't want us to go through this whole process. And
I remember one time we would have aunts saying, "Oh, stop traveling and settle down and have a family." And I would look at them and I'm like, "Don't you think we're trying? We traveled so that we can relax our minds."
actually, one of the I've actually had, I have a big family. I've actually had someone say, "Is there something wrong with Shelly? Is that why you're not?" I said, you know what? One, that's personal, and two, I would. What if there's something wrong with me?
Yeah, they
And
always
that's
blame the
that's
female.
and that's and usually that just like quiets them down. But especially, we've discussed this with everyone. Everyone in our circles
Yeah.
knows what we went through, because so many people go through this in private, or
Mhm.
they don't speak about it even to their spouses, or really
Yeah.
understand what it is. Like I have a friend who Sean, where
Mhm.
we kind of discussed it, and I told him he's got to go get his numbers read and go through it, but he hasn't quite gotten to the point where he wants to go through and do his numbers. And I'm like, well, you need to do it. And your wife's getting older, you're getting older, you're still in your 30s, there's still time, but you've got to realize that there's something wrong somewhere, and for you to
And
figure
fix
it
it.
out.
Yeah. Hmm.
But that's the
Yeah.
first step. You've got to realize that there's something wrong somewhere, you
Yeah.
know.
And it
You have to
takes
accept it.
courage.
Yes, you have to
It takes
accept it.
courage to be able to actually go, all right, I'm ready now, So I totally get it. And I think, Dave, for you, when you went through it, even though you kind of got into doing the things that, needed to be done, because Shelley's like, you're coming with me. Um,
But look, Shelly's the happiest with the purpose. This was her purpose, and we held hands and we did it
We
together.
ran with
the
it,
thing.
and
And that's so wonderful because you see, we get the best results for people like you who are ready, willing, able, who are going to go, you know what, we're going to do what it takes. And
We're a
we
great
go.
we're a great team.
so when I was on the program, one of your patients, she has a baby, messaged me privately, and I didn't have a baby yet. Nothing had happened yet. I was only in the program for like 5 or 6 months, and she asked me. She said, "Would you join the program?" And I said, "If you're gonna do the work, and you want a baby, this is the program for you." Her son is a year younger than Daniel.
Oh, look at you, little
So
inspirer.
yes, and there's also another person that joined. I don't want to give names out that end up having someone from Italy and have twins from your program. So
And then
I sit on top of my lungs because I
and
don't
then
care.
There was your friend, your coworker's sister who did the fertility program who also
Yes,
had a baby.
yes. So a lot of them did your fertility challenge and actually got
Yeah,
pregnant. That
yeah,
didn't have to
yeah.
join the program. So I'm very bold about it because sometimes you just need another human to like interact that went through the same thing, and that's gonna give you honesty about it.
Also,
And
it's
Yeah.
just there's so many things out there that we're skeptics. We're naturally skeptics, and we're thinking someone's trying to sell us, just sell us something so to enrich themselves, and it won't give us results. And that's the furthest from the you're we have been repaid more so than what we've paid into this program.
and we're doing this creation story also to encourage everyone to just, trust the process, do the work, and
Yeah.
you're gonna see results. And also, I saw a lot of your creation story, and your previous creation story is what also gave me hope. And I said, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it. And really, the creation stories are like amazing because it's real people who've been through, been through it and end up with a baby, and and it's a positive thing. And Daniel looked at me the other day, and he's like, "Mama, I'm gonna be 5. I can do everything. It's time for you to have another child."
No, my heart.
Well, twins. We don't know if that's going to work, but we will try.
Well,
We're
I
going to
look forward to
trust the
having you guys
process.
back. As you know, it's one of those things that we will
We're
work with you to make it happen.
we're never this is we will always we think of you
As family.
as
And
family.
when Danny's a little older and he can tolerate a 24-hour flight, we're gonna bring him.
Oh,
We're
what
gonna
joy!
bring him
What
to.
joy!
Are you still in are you in Australia or are you in
Right now, I am in Sydney, but I'm actually going to Boston soon, so we should catch up.
Yes, we should make a trip. Daniel met one of your practitioners.
she
Oh, so
he met
sweet.
Nicola when she was here.
Yeah.
You guys should actually come to my defense, my doctoral defense.
Really?
So at Harvard. So it will be. I'll message you because
Okay.
it will be happening. Come to Boston. Come to my
Okay,
defense.
so you can
You know,
go.
Boston,
you can
how
Like
long?
a 6-hour drive.
It's a 6 hour drive.
from New York. No, it's
Yeah.
like a 4-hour drive. No, it's
I
closer
don't
than
know how
that.
fast are you driving.
No, I'm telling you, I've been on the train and on the bus. I promise
Okay.
you. 4 hours you get there, unless there's terrible traffic, which sometimes can happen. Like it's taken me
Yeah.
6 hours before, but New York is pretty easy. Guys, I want to say thank you because honestly, when I say to you that, and we had this conversation before, and you've heard me say this to you specifically before, but it's so, for me, your drive, your determination, your courage, your willingness to get in there and do the things that it takes is testament to the beautiful son that you've created, who I am sure is going to be exactly what I have always envisioned for all of my babies, which is humans that make the world a better place because they exist. And it's the result of you getting in there and doing the work that this is actually even possible. So thank you for helping my mission of making the world a better place, one healthier family at a time, and for coming to share your story, which is absolutely insanely amazing, given everything that you've gone through, a year on the program, and then obviously your natural conception, despite everything else that hadn't worked, but also your determination in keeping and continuing with it because that's the difference of what makes it happen for people. And for those who quit midway, it's not the same, right? So thank you for showing me what true determination and inspiration is. I often say that, besides my parents, my patients are my greatest heroes. And you demonstrate exactly why. So you're my family too. Thank you.
Kelly's not a crier, but I am.
I had my crying earlier when I filled out the last part when I had to say something to Daniel. I
Well,
really
this
did
is actually now the next step. So, because we're going to be creating a beautiful creation story keepsake video for you and your family. And this is one of the big, like things that I love as part of us having this conversation. Obviously, we have it live first, but then we go to post production and create a beautiful keepsake video for you and your family. And I always like to include the words that you would like Daniel to hear when he's much later in his life. So what would you like to say to Daniel?
You gotta start because
I'm gonna cry. Go ahead.
I want to say to Daniel that we would do it all over again, all the work, because he's worth it. And I think our drive and our determination during the whole process transferred to him because he's very, 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 very determined. And it's his way or no way. And he is a natural leader. And I want to tell Daniel that we're very proud of him and that it was a journey getting him, but we're happy that we have him and we will face whatever challenges we have to face with him. Your turn.
Daniel, we love you. And you may not know of all the things we went through to have you, but you're totally worth it. And we're so happy to go on this journey to have you, because we have worked so hard and we have been repaid more so than we can ever think. Whatever we worked for, and we were repaid so much for it. You're amazing and we love you.
Oh my goodness. Like this is the beauty about and the privilege I feel to be able to bring these stories into the world, these real life stories that you guys carry and that you make your own, but because of who you are and your example, you inspire others to take charge too. And so thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. And just thank you. Just for being you.
We're happy to share. Like we will shout this from the rooftops.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It doesn't like
when I hear someone has a fertility issue, I'm ready. I'm like,
no. We're happy that you gave us this vessel, this opportunity,
a chance
for us to share a story, because we believe in you.
Yeah,
we believe in this,
and we want to say thank you to you for believing in your patients, for pushing us, for leaving no stone unturned. That's one of my favorite phrases from you. And also someone who believes in humanity, and it's not materialistic or money. It's about money. It's really about the human heart and really what we want, because you feel what we feel and you know exactly how to give us that support. So we want to thank you too, for ourselves and for the many, many, many more thousands of patients you're going to help. And if you ever need anything from us, we're here.
Thank you, guys. Big love to you. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.